So in this video, I want to go through some examples of working out the values of each of these without a calculator and really being able to interpret what those fractional powers really mean and how we can enact a strategy in order to simplify them. So, first of all, number one, 9 to the power of a half. So recognising that the half means square root the 9. So this is the same as the square root of 9, which of course is 3. So that's our first one. Now the second one, 8 to the power of minus 1/3. Now the first thing I want you to do when you spot that you've got a minus in the power is deal with that first. Okay, so the minus in the power means 1 over. So I can write that as 1 over 8 to the 1/3. So use the minus sign first, so deal with that first. Now the 1/3 means the cube root of 8 in this case. So 1 over the cube root of 8, and of course the cube root of 8 is 2. And so we have 1/2. 8 to the power of minus 1/3 is 1/2. Number 3, 8 to the power of 2/3. Now, when you have a fractional power and it's not 1 over, so if you've got 2/3 or 3/4 or 4/3, what I tend to recommend is that you deal with the cube rooting first, then the squaring. So it's understanding that 2/3 can be written as 2 times 1/3 or as 1/3 times 2. So are you going to square first and then cube root? Or are you going to cube root and then square? It's really up to you. I mean, we could do squaring first. So we could write this as 8 squared to the power of 1/3. And then we've got 64 and the cube root is 64. Now you can do that, but in general you're probably going to find that cube rooting first and then squaring will be easier to deal with. Okay? Just because the numbers can get much larger otherwise. Larger than you really want to be able to deal with. So 8 to the power of 1/3 is 2. So we have 2 squared, which is 4. Which of course is the same thing as the cube root of 64. So number 4, we have 16 to the power of minus 3/4. Now remember what I said for example number 2. Deal with the minus sign first. We have 1 over 16 to the power of 3/4. Then use your brackets rule for indices. So 1 over, just as we did here, I'm going to write that as 16 to the power of 1/4 cubed. So deal with the quarter first, then the cubing. So 16 to the power of 1/4. The 4th root of 16 is 2. So this is 1 over 2 cubed. 2 cubed is of course 8. So this is 1 over 8. Right. Number 5. 64 to the power of minus 4/3. So I've got a bit more space up here, so I'm going to bring it up here. So just as I said for example 2 and example 4, deal with the minus sign first. That's 1 over 64 to the 4/3. Then deal with the fraction of 1/3 before doing it to the power of 4. So that is going to be 1 over 64 to the 3rd to the power of 4. Now, the cube root of 64 is 4. So this is 1 over 4 to the 4. Now we know that 4 cubed is 64. So 4 to the 4, I need to multiply 64 by 4. 4 4s are 16, 6 4s are 24, plus 1 is 25. So 2, 5, 6. So we have 1 over 256. And that is my answer for number 5.